The alien scout floated quietly in the vastness of space, its sleek ship hovering just outside Earth's atmosphere. Its mission was simple: observe and report. It had been sent by the Galactic Federation, a group of advanced alien races that monitored planets across the universe. Earth was just one of many planets, but something about it caught the scout's attention. There was a strange energy surrounding the planet. The scout had never encountered a world quite like this one. The planet below looked beautiful at first. It had oceans that shimmered like mirrors, vast green forests, and towering mountains that seemed to touch the sky. From the scout's vantage point, Earth looked peaceful, almost serene. But as the ship's sensors began to scan the planet, a sense of unease washed over the scout. There was a strange chaos hidden beneath the surface. The planet was teeming with life, but not the kind of life the scout had expected. The scout began to observe the creatures living on Earth. Most were primitive, animals with basic instincts and a simple way of life. But then, there were the humans. They were different. The scout's sensors picked up strange signals from their cities. There was a pattern to their activities that seemed almost intelligent. The scout focused on the humans. They moved in large groups, organized themselves in societies, and built incredible structures. But as the scout watched more closely, it noticed something disturbing. Humans were not like other creatures. They seemed to be driven by an unrelenting urge to survive, to conquer, and to build. The scout watched as humans fought wars, destroyed their own environment, and then rebuilt everything from scratch. There was no stopping them. They were relentless, and they adapted quickly. The scout felt a strange fear creeping in. The more it observed, the more it realized that Earth wasn't just a peaceful, primitive world. It was a world on the edge of something dangerous. The scout's mission was to gather information and report back to the Federation. But now, it felt unsure. What was it supposed to report? The human race seemed unpredictable. They had a history of violence, but they also had moments of great unity and intelligence. One moment they were fighting wars, and the next, they were exploring the stars. It didn't make sense. The scout had never encountered a species like this before. The more the scout examined Earth, the more it became clear the humans were capable of far more than anyone had anticipated. Their weapons, though primitive compared to those of the Federation, were incredibly effective. The scout had seen a human ship launch into space and destroy a much larger, more advanced alien vessel in a matter of minutes. How could a species that still lived on the surface of a planet with no intergalactic technology possess such power? The scout's sensors picked up more unusual readings. Earth's atmosphere was filled with energy waves that no other planet had. It was as though the planet itself was alive, breathing, and preparing for something. The scout's mind raced as it processed the information. What if the humans had been hiding their true power all along? What if they weren't the primitive creatures they seemed to be? It was becoming harder to ignore the growing sense of dread. The scout had thought that Earth would be an easy observation, a simple mission, but it was far from that. Then there was a sudden burst of activity on the planet below. The scout's ship detected a large-scale human movement. Something unusual was happening. A fleet of human ships, armed and prepared, rose from Earth's surface. The scout's sensors went wild, trying to analyze the ship's designs. They were unlike anything the Federation had ever encountered. Somehow, they had developed advanced space travel without alerting anyone. The scout's fear grew. It had only been observing for a few days, and yet it was already sensing the potential for disaster. The scout's decision was clear. It had to report back. It couldn't wait any longer. It had to warn the Federation about this unpredictable species. But there was a problem. If Earth was as dangerous as it seemed, what would the Federation do? The scout had heard rumors about how the Federation dealt with emerging threats. Obliteration was always the first option. But if humans were as dangerous as the scout suspected, simply destroying them might not be so easy. The thought sent a shiver through the scout's metallic frame. Humans were capable of far more than just surviving. They were capable of fighting back, and the scout was beginning to realize that they were far more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. As the scout's ship prepared to leave the planet's atmosphere and report back to the Galactic Federation, it couldn't shake the feeling that it had just witnessed the beginning of something much larger, something terrifying, something that no one in the galaxy was prepared for. Earth was no longer just a blue planet in the vastness of space. It was a force to be reckoned with, and the scout couldn't help but wonder, was it too late to warn the galaxy? The alien fleet had been in space for several weeks, patiently waiting for the perfect moment to make contact with Earth. The Galactic Federation had sent them to establish peaceful relations, to offer their advanced technology, and to bring the humans into the fold of intergalactic cooperation. The fleet consisted of powerful ships, equipped with the most advanced weapons and technology in the galaxy. The Federation had never failed in its mission to bring planets into their alliance. Earth, it seemed, would be no different. Or so they thought. The lead ship in the fleet, a massive vessel known as the Vexor, hovered just above Earth's atmosphere. The fleet had waited for the ideal moment, a moment when Earth's defenses were down, when the humans were at their most vulnerable. The alien commanders were confident that their plan would succeed. Their superior technology would intimidate the humans, and once the fleet landed, Earth would quickly agree to the Federation's terms. As the first wave of ships descended towards Earth, the alien scouts detected strange readings from below. The humans had already started preparing for their arrival. Their cities were quiet, the streets empty, but there was an odd stillness in the air. It was as though the humans were holding their breath, waiting for something. The alien officers brushed it off. Perhaps the humans were intimidated by the fleet's arrival. Then, without warning, the calm was shattered. The first human ship, a sleek and deceptively small craft, shot into the sky. It was unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. The Vexor's sensors immediately scanned the ship, trying to get a reading, but it was clear that the humans had developed something entirely unique. The ship's speed was incredible, and its maneuverability was something that even the Federation's best ships could not replicate. It was as though the humans had been hiding their capabilities all along. Before the aliens could react, the human ship fired. A bright blue beam of energy shot toward the fleet, and in an instant, it struck one of the alien vessels in the rear of the formation. The ship exploded in a burst of light, sending debris spiraling into space. The remaining ships scrambled to defend themselves, but the humans weren't finished. More human ships followed, launching from Earth's surface like a swarm of angry hornets. The alien fleet was taken by surprise. They had expected peaceful cooperation, not a full-scale attack. The fleet's commanders issued orders to retaliate, but the humans were already ahead of them. The Vexor's defensive shields flared to life as another human ship barreled towards them, firing relentlessly. The shields held, but only just. It was clear now that the humans weren't just defending their planet. They were fighting for survival. And they were good at it, far better than the aliens had anticipated. On board the scout ship, the officer who had been observing Earth's behavior now watched in disbelief. The reports were coming in fast. Humans, the seemingly primitive species they had been sent to study, were not only capable of space travel, they had mastered it in ways the Federation had never thought possible. The officer's mind raced, trying to make sense of the situation. How had Earth hidden such power for so long? As the battle intensified, the alien fleet's commanders realized they were facing something they hadn't prepared for. The humans had developed powerful weapons that were unlike anything the Federation had ever encountered. The human ships, though small, were far more advanced in certain aspects of technology. The Vexor was damaged, and its shields were struggling to hold up against the relentless barrage of fire from the humans. The officer who had been watching the humans' strange behavior felt a growing fear. The humans weren't just surviving. They were fighting back in ways that defied logic. They had no reason to believe that they could win, and yet they fought with the desperation of a species that had everything to lose. The alien scouts' initial unease had turned into something far darker. The humans weren't just a curious species. They were dangerous. In the midst of the chaos, the scout officer realized that it was not just the weapons the humans possessed that made them dangerous. It was their willingness to fight. They had been preparing for this moment, perhaps for longer than the Federation had imagined. They had studied war and survival, learned from every conflict, and grown stronger with each battle. And now the aliens were learning the hard way that Earth's greatest strength was its people's determination. As the alien fleet began to pull back, one ship after another falling to the humans' relentless attack, the scout officer sent a report back to the Galactic Federation. The message was short but clear. The humans are far more dangerous than we ever imagined. Their ability to adapt, fight, and survive is unlike anything the galaxy has seen. The Federation must reconsider its plans. But even as the scouts sent the report, there was a sinking feeling in its circuits. The humans weren't going to be easily defeated. The Federation had underestimated them, and now they would pay the price. The alien fleet limped away from Earth, heavily damaged and in disarray. What was supposed to be a simple mission of peaceful negotiation had turned into a nightmare. The Galactic Federation's commanders, once confident in their superiority, now found themselves reeling from the unexpected power the humans had displayed. They had underestimated the Earthlings, assuming they were a primitive species unworthy of serious attention. Now, that assumption had cost them dearly. Back at the Federation's headquarters, the report from the alien scout officer arrived in a flurry of urgency. The message was blunt and chilling. The humans are far more dangerous than we ever imagined. The entire Council of the Galactic Federation was thrown into chaos as the implications of the scouts' findings began to settle in. The aliens on the Council, from countless races across the galaxy, had long considered themselves the pinnacle of evolution. But Earth's humans, a seemingly insignificant species, had just crippled their most advanced fleet. The Federation's leader, a towering being of pure energy named Zoreth, was the first to speak after a long silence. We must rethink our approach. These humans are not what we thought them to be. The members of the council murmured in agreement, but a few voices remained skeptical. Some were still reluctant to believe that such a primitive race could pose any real threat to the Federation's might. Perhaps it was just a fluke, one council member suggested. One unexpected attack doesn't mean the humans are a serious threat. We still have the advantage in technology. Zoreth's glowing form flickered, his voice sharp. That's what we thought before. But look at the facts. They not only repelled our fleet, they destroyed it. We've never seen anything like it. These humans, they adapt quickly, and they fight with a desperation we didn't anticipate. Another council member, a reptilian creature with scales that shimmered like polished gems, added, "Zoreth is right. We have underestimated them for too long. They were preparing for this moment without our knowledge. We need to reconsider our plans. Fast." The Federation's generals, who had once prided themselves on their tactical brilliance, were now questioning everything. Their carefully laid plans to expand the Federation's reach to Earth seemed doomed. The humans had shown that they could not only defend themselves, but also turn the tables on their invaders. There was a deadly brilliance in the way they fought, an unpredictability that made them almost impossible to predict or control. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the humans had no idea of the true scale of what had just occurred. They had defended their planet, yes, but they didn't fully understand the ramifications of their victory. To them, it was just another day in a long history of fighting for survival. Humans had faced extinction before and survived, and this victory, though hard-won, felt like just another chapter in their ongoing struggle for freedom. They celebrated briefly, but the shadows of doubt loomed over them. Commander Nathan Drake, a high-ranking officer in Earth's military, was one of the few who had a sense of what was coming. He had been in the midst of the battle, and while his forces had achieved the unimaginable, he knew this was only the beginning. The Federation's fleet might have been forced to retreat, but they were not defeated. There would be more attempts, more invasions. Earth would need to be ready. Drake convened a meeting with Earth's top military leaders. "We've done the impossible today," he began, "but we're not done. The Federation isn't going to back off quietly. We need to prepare for the next phase. They will come again. And next time, they won't be caught off guard." His words sent a ripple of unease through the room. They had won, but at what cost? The Federation was vast, its resources endless. Would Earth's defenses hold up against a second, more prepared assault? The military leaders had no easy answers, but they knew one thing. Earth had just made a name for itself in the galaxy. And whatever the Federation had planned, it was no longer just about defending Earth. It was about surviving a war with an enemy that would stop at nothing. As the Federation scrambled to rethink its strategies, the scout officer who had originally reported Earth's dangerous potential received orders to return. Its mission was far from over. It would continue to observe the humans, but now there was something different in the officer's reports. It wasn't just about gathering intelligence anymore. It was about survival. The officer knew that the humans weren't just any species. They were a threat, a new kind of threat, one that had the power to not only defend their home, but to challenge the very foundation of the Federation itself. The scout officer, once confident in its mission, now felt a deep sense of dread. Earth had changed everything. What had started as a simple observation mission was now a ticking time bomb. The officer wondered if anyone in the Federation would ever truly understand just how dangerous the humans were, and whether the Federation would survive the consequences of underestimating them. The atmosphere aboard the Federation's flagship Vexor was tense. Alien commanders and council members gathered around a massive holotable, which displayed the status of Earth's defense systems. The once confident beings who had believed in their superiority now found themselves questioning their every decision. How had it gone so wrong? They had come to Earth expecting to extend their reach, to add another planet to their growing empire. Instead, they had encountered the unexpected fury of humanity. Zorath, the leader of the Galactic Federation, stood at the head of the table, his glowing form pulsating with a sense of urgency. "We've underestimated them. We cannot make the same mistake again." His voice was both cold and sharp, a reminder of the threat the humans now posed to them. The council members remained silent, their eyes glued to the screen that displayed a map of Earth's defense systems. It was clear now that the humans had anticipated the Federation's arrival, had prepared for a fight far more than anyone had realized. The Federation's once unshakable belief in its technological dominance had been shattered. What had once seemed like a simple battle for Earth was now becoming a struggle for survival, both for the Federation and for the humans who had been caught in the crossfire. On Earth, Commander Nathan Drake had no time to celebrate the victory. It had been only a few hours since the battle, but he was already planning the next steps. His mind raced as he thought about what they had just accomplished. Earth's defenses had been tested in the harshest way possible, and they had held strong. But that didn't mean they could relax. The Federation would be back. The humans had proven their worth. But now it was about making sure Earth's strength wasn't just a one-time fluke. Drake paced around the command room, his thoughts focused on the future. "We got to assume they're not done with us," he said to his team of officers. "The Federation may have pulled back, but they'll be regrouping. We need to be ready for whatever comes next." One of his officers, Lieutenant Sanchez, looked up from the data feed. "They've already begun mobilizing a new fleet. It's still a few weeks away, but it's bigger, stronger, and it's coming directly for Earth." Drake nodded grimly. "We'll need to prepare like never before. We've fought off the first wave, but the next one won't be so easy. They'll be more coordinated, more dangerous, and we have to assume they'll have new weapons, ones we haven't seen yet." As the team began to make plans, a sudden beep echoed through the room. A new message appeared on the command center's central screen. It was from the scout officer, the one who had reported on humanity's potential. The message was short, but its implications were far-reaching. It read, "The Federation is underestimating Earth's true capabilities. Their adaptability is beyond anything we've encountered. Proceed with caution." The message was both a warning and a declaration. It was clear that the scout officer, who had once thought humanity to be an insignificant species, now realized the truth. Earth was not just a primitive world. It was a formidable force in its own right. The officer's report was both a confession and an acknowledgement of the danger the humans posed. The Federation's council was in uproar once again. How could they have missed this? How had they allowed themselves to be blindsided by a species they had deemed weak? The answer was simple. They had failed to understand humanity's nature. The humans had been underestimated because they didn't fight the way other species did. They fought with a fierceness that came from survival, a determination that ran deeper than any technology or strategy the Federation had relied on. Zoreth, standing at the helm of the meeting, let out a deep sigh. We cannot let this continue. We cannot afford to lose face with our allies. The humans must be brought to heel. We must strike harder. But we must also be smarter this time. The Federation's advisors whispered among themselves, some questioning the wisdom of continuing the attack. But Zoreth was resolute. We will use all the resources at our disposal. We will break Earth's will to fight. We will find their weaknesses. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the reality of the situation was sinking in. The victory over the Federation's fleet had been hard-won, but it was just the beginning of what would likely be a long and bitter war. The humans had never faced an enemy like the Galactic Federation. Their military had fought in many wars, but this was something new, a conflict that spanned the stars. Commander Drake had seen the fear in the eyes of his soldiers, the uncertainty that clouded their resolve. The Federation wasn't just another enemy. It was an entire galactic empire, and they had no intention of giving up. The Federation's leaders would want revenge, and they wouldn't stop until Earth had been subdued. As Drake sat in his office, reviewing the latest intelligence, he couldn't help but feel the weight of the responsibility on his shoulders. He had led Earth's defenses, but now it wasn't just about defeating the Federation. It was about ensuring humanity's survival. The galaxy had just learned one valuable lesson. Earth was not to be trifled with, but for every victory, there was a cost. The war had just begun, and Earth would need to be ready. In the cold silence of space, the scout officer sent its final report back to the Federation. Earth is no longer the planet we once thought. It is a force that cannot be ignored. Prepare for a new kind of war. The Federation's final decision was clear. Earth would not be allowed to remain free. The next battle would be their most brutal yet, and humanity, now fully aware of the danger, would rise to meet it. The Federation's fleet, now fully repaired and reinforced, was preparing for its next assault on Earth. This time, they would not be so easily defeated. The Galactic Federation had learned from their previous mistakes. They had gathered intelligence, developed new strategies, and crafted weapons more powerful than anything they had ever used before. This time, they would overwhelm humanity with sheer force. On Earth, Commander Nathan Drake sat in a dimly lit room, reviewing the Federation's movements. He had just received the latest reports, and the news was not good. The Federation was coming for Earth again, and this time, their forces were far more formidable. They had adapted, just as humanity had done. The difference was that the Federation had the resources of an entire galaxy at their disposal. Earth, on the other hand, had only its own ingenuity and determination to rely on. Drake's mind raced as he thought of the upcoming battle. The Federation's fleet would be massive, far larger than the one they had defeated before. The Federation's forces were not just militarily superior. They were technologically advanced in ways that Earth had never seen. It was hard to fathom how they could even compete. But one thing was certain: they couldn't give up. They had already proven once that they could defeat the Federation, but this time would be different. The stakes were higher, and the Federation was not going to hold back. "Lieutenant Sanchez," Drake called out, his voice steady despite the pressure mounting in his chest. "Prepare the fleet. We're going to need every ship we can get. We're facing an enemy that's coming for us with everything they've got. And we need to be ready." Sanchez nodded. "We've been preparing for this day, sir. All units are ready for deployment. But I have to ask, sir, do you think we can win this time? The Federation has a massive fleet, and they've learned from their mistakes. We may not have the numbers or the tech to match them." Drake paused, his eyes fixed on the holographic display of Earth's defense systems. "I won't lie to you, Sanchez. The odds are against us. But we've already proven something the Federation didn't expect. We fight differently. We fight with everything we've got. And we never give up. That's what makes us dangerous." Sanchez's face hardened, his resolve matching Drake's. "Understood, sir. We'll fight until the last breath." The battle preparations began in earnest. On every continent, humans were working together, pooling their resources, building new weapons, and reinforcing Earth's defenses. The Federation's new fleet would be coming soon, but humanity had something the Federation could never account for: an unyielding will to survive. Back on the Federation flagship Vexor, Zorath was pacing, his mind preoccupied with the task ahead. "We've waited long enough," he muttered to his council. "Now is the time to finish this. We'll destroy Earth's defenses, wipe their cities clean off the map, and send a message to every species that dares challenge the Federation." His council members nodded in agreement, but there was a palpable tension in the room. The previous attack on Earth had shown that the humans weren't like other species. They didn't crumble when faced with overwhelming odds. Instead, they fought back with everything they had, with a fierceness that was terrifying to witness. The council knew they couldn't afford another failure. One of the council members, a tall alien with tentacles that shifted like living shadows, spoke up. "Zorath, the humans are unpredictable. If we underestimate them again, we may pay a heavy price. Perhaps it would be better to wait for reinforcements. We cannot afford another defeat." Zorath turned toward the council member, his glowing form flickering in irritation. "We wait for no one. We have the power. We have the fleet. We will crush them." But even as he spoke, a seed of doubt began to grow in his mind. The humans were not like the rest. They had the kind of resilience that was difficult to defeat. They fought as if the very survival of their species depended on it. And, in truth, it did. Zorath had never seen anything like it in all his centuries of rule. It was this ferocity that unsettled him. The Federation had always relied on overwhelming strength, advanced technology, and the crushing might of their fleet, but they had never faced an opponent who fought with pure desperation. The humans were proving to be the most dangerous species the Federation had ever encountered, and Zorath was beginning to wonder if they had made a grave mistake underestimating them. On Earth, the countdown had begun. The Federation's new fleet was on its way, and humanity had no choice but to prepare for the fight of their lives. Drake stood in front of the command center's massive screen, watching the last of Earth's ships take their positions. He knew the stakes had never been higher. If they lost this battle, humanity's future was over. But if they won, it would send a message to the entire galaxy: Earth was not to be conquered. "This is it," Drake said, turning to his officers. "We're fighting for everything. Our families, our homes, our future. We won't stop. We can't stop." The officers nodded in silent agreement. They knew what was at stake. Earth wasn't just fighting for survival. They were fighting for their place in the galaxy. And if the Federation wanted to take Earth, they would have to pry it from the hands of humanity's fiercest warriors. As the Federation's fleet closed in, Drake's voice rang out across the fleet's communications. "All ships, prepare for battle. This is our time. This is humanity's time." The Earth was ready, but so was the Federation. The stage was set for an epic clash, one that would determine the fate of two civilizations and the galaxy itself. The battle began as the Federation's fleet emerged from the warp, massive ships streaking across space toward Earth with terrifying speed. Each ship was a fortress of technology, advanced weaponry bristling from every surface. But despite the overwhelming odds, humanity's fleet held firm. Earth's defenders knew what was at stake, and they were ready to fight for their survival. Commander Nathan Drake stood at the center of the command room aboard the Olympus, Earth's flagship. His eyes were focused on the view screen, where the Federation's fleet loomed in the distance. He could feel the tension in the air, every officer on edge, their nerves sharpened for what was about to come. There was no turning back now. The fight was upon them. All units, prepare for immediate engagement, Drake ordered, his voice steady, yet filled with determination. We fight for Earth today. We fight for every soul on this planet. The ship's engines roared to life as the Olympus surged forward, cutting through the vast emptiness of space. The rest of Earth's fleet followed in its wake, each ship moving with precision and coordination that only humans could manage. They had trained for this day for months, adapting their tactics, learning from their past victories and failures. They were more than ready. On the Federation flagship Vexor, Zoreth watched as his ships moved into formation. His heart, though ancient, quickened with anticipation. The humans had surprised him before, but now there would be no room for surprises. He had seen their tactics, understood their adaptability, and he was certain that this time their will to survive would not be enough. "Engage all weapons," Zoreth commanded. His voice was calm, though the fire of determination burned in his chest. "Destroy their defenses. Show them the might of the Federation." The Federation's fleet opened fire, beams of destructive energy lancing out toward Earth's ships. The space around them erupted into a storm of light and explosions. The first wave of Federation fire hit Earth's defenses, but humanity's ships, built with a mix of advanced technology and brute ingenuity, absorbed the initial barrage, returning fire with equal ferocity. Commander Drake watched the chaos unfold on the view screen. The Federation's attack was relentless, but humanity's ships held their ground. He clenched his fists, his thoughts racing as he gave orders to his crew. "Focus fire on their lead ship," he barked. "We take out the Vexor, and the rest will follow." Earth's ships adjusted their course, locking onto the Federation flagship. Coordinated shots from Earth's ships rained down on the Vexor, massive blasts that shook the Federation ship to its core. But despite the damage, the Federation fleet did not falter. They retaliated in kind, their energy weapons slashing through the void like thunderbolts. Drake's heart raced as the battle escalated. The Federation was proving to be far more formidable than Earth's fleet had ever faced. Each shot that hit their ships was a reminder of what was at stake. Yet there was something in the way humanity fought. A fire, a rage that burned deep in their souls. No matter the odds, they refused to give up. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers," Drake ordered. "We can't let them break through our defenses." The Olympus tilted sharply, narrowly dodging a massive energy blast that passed just inches from its hull. The shockwave from the blast rattled the ship, but the crew held steady. They had been in worse situations before. Earth's fleet may have been smaller, but they had something the Federation had underestimated: the strength to keep fighting, no matter what. As the battle raged on, a new wave of Federation ships appeared on the horizon, their reinforcements arriving to turn the tide. It was clear that the Federation was not going to hold back. They would stop at nothing to crush humanity once and for all. But Commander Drake knew that humanity could not be broken. Not now. Not after everything they had been through. "All ships, hold the line." Drake yelled into the comms. "We cannot let them break us. We've come this far, and we're not stopping now." The battle intensified as both sides unleashed everything they had. The Federation's ships were relentless, but Earth's defenders were fighting with a desperation that only comes when the very survival of a species is at stake. Drake watched as one of Earth's ships, the Pride of Earth, took a devastating hit, its shields failing as it spiraled out of control. "Don't let their sacrifice be in vain," Drake shouted. "Fight harder." As if on cue, Earth's fleet surged forward, launching another coordinated strike on the Vexor. It was now or never. The Federation flagship, despite its immense power, was beginning to falter under the pressure. It wasn't just the weapons, it was the humans' will, their refusal to surrender, that was wearing the Federation down. And then, it happened. The Vexor took a direct hit to its main reactor core. The explosion sent shockwaves through the battlefield, and for a moment, both sides paused. Zorath, on the Vexor, staggered as the shockwave rattled his ship. The Federation fleet began to lose formation, their ships no longer coordinating as effectively as before. Zorath, his mind reeling from the unexpected blow, gritted his teeth. This was far from over, but the humans had dealt a serious blow to their plans. On Earth's side, there was a brief moment of silence. Commander Drake stood motionless, watching the explosion of the Federation flagship. It was a victory, but a fleeting one. The Federation wasn't defeated yet. They still had the numbers, still had the power. But this battle had shown something important. Humanity was not to be underestimated. And no matter how many times the Federation came for Earth, they would keep fighting, keep pushing back, until the last breath was taken. The Federation had only just begun to realize the truth about humanity. They were far more dangerous than anyone could ever imagine. As the battle continued to rage, both sides knew one thing for sure: this was only the beginning, and the war was far from over.